Hey, I'm Kevin, and this is HFX by Bike, a channel all about getting around Halifax by bike. In today's video, I'll be covering the Wyse Road protected bike lanes that form a critical north-south corridor connecting different parts of Dartmouth to the Macdonald Bridge bikeway. As always, I'll be playing a game of +1 -2 along the way. Every time I run into something that makes my trip safer or more convenient, I'll add a point, and every time I run into something that makes it less safe or less convenient, I'll take 2 away. You can keep track of how I think the ride is going by looking at the heads-up display in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm starting out just north of the Macdonald Bridge by Faulkner Street. The right turn lanes heading onto the bridge are technically not slip lanes as they're governed by traffic lights. That said, drivers like this one treat them like slip lanes 90% of the time, and we'll just ignore whatever signal is present. It's just something that you should be aware of when crossing. The right turn lanes are covered by bike lights, but they're not synced with the lights for cars, so both groups of road users can be stuck staring at each other while the lights are red. The crossing of the bridge intersection is also covered by bike lights. It can take upwards of 2 full minutes just to cross this one intersection in one direction, which is pretty brutal. The lanes on Wyse Road are in various levels of development, with this section being a mix of barrier protected lanes and off-road elevated lanes. Various parts of the lanes are extremely wide, although I suspect the plan is to fill some of that extra space in eventually. There's a lot going on at the intersection with Thistle. If you're making the popular trip to downtown Dartmouth, the lanes cut out and you face a pretty chaotic merge into traffic. There's a signal protected facilitated crossing with an underground system that will detect bikes and activate the signal automatically, which is extremely cool. The Dartmouth Commons multi-use path can be accessed directly from Wyse Road. Reorienting to the north, there's no right on red at this intersection, so theoretically I don't have to worry about getting hit from behind while crossing. There's also a protected left phase for cars heading up Thistle, but it's important to note that cars can turn left outside of this phase, and they are generally not great at looking for pedestrians and cyclists crossing. The lanes connect directly to the Nantucket multi-use path on my right, although it's not super useful in my opinion. The intersection at Bowland has another set of bike signals, and these are paired with both a leading signal for cyclists as well as a no right on red for cars. North of Bowland, the lanes are a bit less developed. Some sections have flex posts, others just paint, and some patches are covered by just a sharrow painted in the gutter. This section of road is a bit less complex, but it's a noticeable downgrade in quality. The lanes technically end at Albro Lake Road, but I'm going to include this short multi-use path on the opposite side as it's too short to cover on its own. This is a multi-use path in name only, as it's really just a sidewalk that's been specifically okayed by the city for people to bike on. It's much too narrow to act as a shared space between pedestrians and cyclists. The path ends at Farrell Street, which is a relatively low traffic local street. Heading back in the other direction, the intersection with Albro Lake Road requires a bit of extra attention. Drivers don't perceive the multi-use path as a path of travel, so are generally not going to be paying attention to any bikes entering the intersection from this direction. This is probably going to be addressed when the path itself gets a bit more formalized. One of the perks of the lanes is that they connect to a lot of businesses along Wyse and are immediately adjacent to the bridge transit terminal. There's a seamless connection onto the Macdonald Bridge bikeway. The lanes run for a little bit over 1.5 kilometers in each direction, so here are the bonus points. The Wyse Road protected bike lanes are the access point for the Macdonald Bridge for bikes on the Dartmouth side of the harbour. The level of protection afforded by the lanes tends to scale with the number of adjacent traffic lanes and the amount of traffic that they carry. South of Bowland, the lanes are relatively well developed and are probably just waiting for some landscaping work to be done to be considered fully complete. Between Bowland and Albro Lake Road, the quality of the lanes becomes a bit less consistent, and I think it's fair to say they pop out of existence in a few places. One of the most noticeable elements of the Wyse Road lanes is the widespread use of bike signals at major intersections. This is really cool to see, and hopefully something that starts to get more widely integrated into the rest of the bike network. There are a few pain points, with the most glaring being the waits for the long signal times at the intersection with Macdonald Bridge. This exists to accommodate the 15 different approach lanes at the intersection, and it becomes particularly brutal when making a two-stage crossing. Aside from the partially complete nature north of Bowland, the lanes also fail to connect to downtown Dartmouth via Alderney Drive. Overall, the Wyse lanes are usable in their current form, although they do face some convenience issues when crossing the intersection near the bridge. Users should also remember that this area sees extremely high traffic and to keep their head on a swivel. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Be sure to hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel for more videos all about getting around Halifax by bike. That's it for this one. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.